All right, class. This week we are working on rounding numbers, and so we are going to show you how to round numbers. Okay, when you want to round a number, what you want to do is the first thing that you want to do is you want to find the decimal point. Okay, so last week we worked on decimal points. We worked on place values. So each number has a location. It has a name. Okay, and then we also learned that there are numbers that are bigger than zero, and there are numbers that are less than zero, and there are numbers that do not have a decimal, and there are numbers that have decimal numbers. Okay. So first of all, if you want to do a problem again, always find out where the decimal point is. Okay, and if it doesn't have one, then that means that the decimal point is after the last digit. Okay, so for example, in number 1, I don't see a decimal point. Okay, so that means that the decimal point is right after that number. Okay, number 3, I don't see a decimal point, so the decimal point is after the 7. Number 5, I don't see a decimal, so the decimal point is after the 1. Number 7, there is a decimal. The decimal point is between 5 and 1, okay? 5 and 1. So the decimal point is right here between those two numbers. It's very important for you to locate the decimal number, okay? Number 8, there is a decimal point. It is between 1 and 2. Number 10, the decimal point is between 7 and 9. Okay, and number 12, there's no decimal point, so therefore it must be at the end. All right, so that's the first thing that you need to be able to do. Identify where the decimals are. The next thing is find the underlined number. Okay, that's the number that they want you to round. Okay, so in number 1, the underlined number is a number like 8 with a bar at the end. So that's what we call underlined number, okay? So we're looking for that number and we are going to highlight it, okay? So for number 1, the underlined number, the number that they want us to round is the 9, okay? In number 3, they also want us to round this number. Number 5, they want us to round this one here. And number 2, they want us to round this place here. Oops, I don't want that. I want to highlight. And number 4, they want us to round this number here. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to put the decimal down, okay? All right, there we go. All right, so that's the second thing that you do. So first, locate the decimal point, and then second, find the number that you need to round. Third, let's round it, okay? So the rules for rounding. You look at the number immediately to the right of the number which is underlined, okay? So for number 1, look at the number immediately to the right. That is that 4, okay? I'm going to use a different, that's the arrow, okay? So you have that number 4, which is the number immediately to the right of the highlighted number. That number is a 4, okay? And number 3, the number immediately to the right is the 3, okay? And number 5, the number immediately to the right is the 6, all right? And number 2, the number immediately to the right is a 0. And number 4, the number immediately to the right is a 2. Okay, so you need to identify your decimal point, highlight your underlined number, the number that you want to round, and then after that, find a number immediately to the right, okay, and put an arrow, under that number, because we are going to look at that number, and that number is going to tell us what to do, okay? So let's go over the rounding rules, okay? So you round up. Okay, round up means add 1 to the underlying number, okay? You round up if you see the number 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 following the highlighted number, okay? So if the number above the arrow is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you round up, you add 1, okay? If it's any other number, you round down, okay? So rounding, round down. Okay, that means keep the number. Keep the underlined number. All right, so you round down if you see a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. All right, so those are your rules, okay? Only 2 of them. So again, let's go ahead and look at our problems again, okay? So you round up if the number above the arrow is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. You round it down if the number is 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if we look at number 1, we want to round that 9. I look to the right, and that's a 4. I look at my rules and I find 4 where it tells me to round it down, okay, because 4 is right here, okay, that's my 4 here. All right, so I need to round it down, okay? So round down means keep the number 9, okay? So I'm gonna keep the number 9, so I write it down, I keep it, okay? And then all the numbers after that, I have to replace with zeros. So 4 becomes 0, 2 becomes 0, I have a comma, 2 becomes a 0, 0 is 0, and 6 is 0. So you fill all those numbers with the 0 up to the decimal point. And then before the 9, you have a comma, you have a 9, and you have a 1, okay? So all the numbers before the underlying number, you copy it exactly the way it is. All the numbers after the underlying number, you replace them with zeros up to the decimal point. So that's the answer to number 1, okay? Let's do number 3. So number 3, the underlying number is also a 9, and the number to the right is a 3. So if you look at your rules, the 3 is right here, okay? And so you have to round it down. So again, keep the 9, okay? So I'm gonna keep the 9, and at this time I'm gonna write the 1 first, okay? So I have a 1 before the 9 and a comma. Then after the 9, I'm going to replace the 3 with a 0, the 2 with a 0, I have a comma, 7 with a 0, 6 with a 0, and 7 with a 0, and I stop where the decimal point is. All right. Okay, let's do one more. Number 5, okay? So number 5, I want to round it at 2. I look at the number to the right, and it's a 6. So I'm going to go to my rules. So my rule says if I see a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, I need to round up. So I need to add 1 to the underlying number, okay? So 6. So I have to round up, okay? I have to round up, which means that I need to add a 1 to the 2, okay? So 1 plus 2 becomes 3, and then I turn everything else to zeros again up to the decimal point. So that's the answer to number 5, okay? So we round up because 6, 7, 8, 9, or 5 or above, you round up, you add 1 to the underlying number. If it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, you keep the number, okay? You round it down. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2. All right, number 2. So the underlying number is a 1. We look at the right, and it's a 0. And so you look at your rules. Oop, I forgot to include the 0 here. Okay, so if you have a 0, that's part of keeping the number. Okay, so you round down. So if you round down, you keep the 1. Okay. And you put your decimal point down. Okay, so before the 1, you have a 4, you have the decimal point, and then you have a 1, and you stop right where that 1 is. Okay, so you don't have to add the zeros. Okay, you only add if it's before the decimal point. If it's after, you just stop where the underlined number is. Okay, let's do another one here. Number 4, so 8, we want to round that. We look at the right, immediately right, the immediate right, and that's a 2. 2, we need to round it down, so we're going to keep the 8. and we write down our 4, the number before the 8. We change that 2 into a 0, and then we have the decimal point right there, so we stop. Okay, we don't have to enter more zeros. So our answer for number 4 is 480. Okay, let's take a look at number 8. All right, so again, locate the number. The decimal point. I already did that. It's between 1 and 2. I am going to highlight my underlined number, which is the 9. Then I'm going to put an arrow beneath the number, which is immediately to the right of my underlined number, which is a 1. And then I compare the 1. Okay, do I need to round up or round down? Okay, so 1, if I look at my notes, I have to round down. So I keep the 9. I'm going to write all the numbers before the 9 exactly as they are. And then I replace all the numbers after the 9 with the zeros up to the decimal point. So the answer is 690 for this problem. All right. Okay, I'm going to do number 10, and that's the last problem that I'm going to do. Again, watch this one closely because you have a number which is underlined after the decimal point. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. So this is the original problem. So what I need to do first is I need to locate my decimal point, which is right here between the 7 and the 9. Then step 2, I highlight my underlined number, the one that I need to round. And then number 3, I put an arrow below the number that I need to look at. Okay, so 5. Okay, 5 is among the numbers that I need to round up. So that tells me that I need to add 1 to 9. Okay, so if I add 1 to 9, it becomes 10. Okay, so 10, there's a 0 here, and then I carry a 1 over, and then 1 plus 7 becomes 8. This is a harder problem. Don't forget the decimal point, okay? The decimal point is right here, and then I'm done with the problem. That's the answer to number 10, okay? Remember, if the underlying number is after the 0, I don't need to replace the other numbers with zeros, all right? So this is how we round numbers in math, okay? Hopefully this helps. All we are doing this week is rounding numbers. So you have a lot of exercises for you to practice, okay? So you can become very good. All right, bye.